Well, welcome into Running It Straight here for another Wednesday, August the 2nd, and a busy show to come in between now and 3 o'clock. We don't have a game to talk through, not a Warriors game to talk through, Kemp. You might have to have a look at some of the other NRL games.
Lots going on.
We do have...
you in the parallel universes that you live in, mate. There's plenty
aliens,
going
Tony?
on.
Do you believe in aliens?
100%. You're an alien. I'm going to put up with you every week.
Jackson Ford hopefully is not going to be subjected to this sort of chat in around about 15 minutes' time when we get him on. If you do have any questions for Jackson, you can text him through on 8833, jump on the YouTube channel as well. James has already sent in a message here, Kempy, asking for your first try scorer on Friday. He also wants your lotto numbers. let's just pump the brakes a bit, James, here. We don't want Kempy's head to get
don't worry. My head will never get like that.
You're not here on Friday, Kempy, so you better give us an anytime try scorer.
Oh, well, no. I'm not going to. And I don't give first try scorers out until I've actually seen the warm up and cement that in my head that I'm down the right track. No, that's not true.
You gave me Ratania Quarter before they came out on the field. You gave me him about an hour before.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't give it to you live on air.
So what's going to happen on Friday? You're going to text me or something? We're going to win. No, but are you going to text me the first try scorer?
If you remember me and ask me, yeah, but
you're not going to be here, Kempy.
I know, but you can't just digit.
Digits
working on that phone.
I'll ring you while we're live on air, shall I? And we can get you.
That'd be great.
You in.
Well, if you want to get paid.
Okay, that's all for you, James. We'll figure it all out. So we're going to talk to Jackson Ford. We'll have a look as well as the game this Friday night between the Warriors and the Titans, of course. Just a few changes with Jazz Tavanga sort of making his way back in the side. I know he's on the extended bench.
He starts on the bench.
Yeah, but I think he is going to get a run on. As well as a couple of other signings and bits and bobs going on around the NRL. So like I said, you can text you anytime on 8833. You can comment on the YouTube channel, or you can give us a call on 0800 150 811. Kemp, you want to talk about round 22, the Warriors had the bye. Some interesting results across the board, and isn't it funny how one result can sort of change how people view a team? And I look at, in particular, the Cowboys lost to the Titans because... Like a lot of people had them going undefeated heading into the final round and making a top four. But the way they played against the Titans can be reminded me of how they looked back in May. And I think if you're a Cowboys fan, you maybe should be a little bit worried. And now no Val Holmes for 4 weeks too.
Okay, so there's a couple of points to talk about here. The first thing is we're brave saying that teams will go on a run and go undefeated when we're saying multiple teams will do that. They don't. They do. Teams do go on runs, 4 or 5 games, as Penrith are on the moment, as the Warriors have been, Cronulla, Parramatta, all those teams during the year. But very brave to say that they're going to go on a long run. All right, and the Cowboys. So there's to your second point. We've said all year on the show that there's 3 things that are going to play out when you come into the back end of the year, especially hitting the finals. The first one is referees' decisions. They're going to be massive. Referees and bunkers' decisions are going to affect the team. The second one is suspensions. Yeah. And of course now you've got Val Holmes out. Mm-hmm. And that throws a massive spanner in North Queensland's challenge for semi-final spot, but more importantly, finish in the top 4, because if you don't finish in the top 4, you have no chance of winning it. Or maybe this year's different. Anyway, and the third one you've got is injury. And we've still got players coming back from injury, and this is a real positive for the Warriors.
Because Jeremiah Nanai's out at the moment, isn't he?
Yeah, but you've got Jazz Tavanga coming back into the side at the right time. Hence why I think that he'll start off the bench this weekend, because you've got to get some miles into his legs. The reason why Peppenhausen's coming back from Melbourne and getting thrown straight back into second grade, so he can get some miles into his legs. Peppenhausen plays for Melbourne next week. He gets through that game over there, and then they come on a late charge too. So it's gearing up to play out how we said during the year. But for the Cowboys, I don't know whether he should have been rubbed out. I've read the judicial report. If you want to laugh, go and read the judicial report.
All right,
it is laughable.
Well, so just going back to the Storm, and you got to feel sorry for Nick Meaney, who's actually been playing fantastically well there at the back. So Ryan Pappenhausen come in. What, I guess, does he go to the wing?
Nick Meaney?
Yeah.
Well,
or is he out?
No, Nick Meaney, he's probably been there close to one of their best backs. So I think he'll go on. I think Warbrick will get pushed out. Meaney will go onto that right wing, and Peppenhausen goes straight back in.
But Warbrick's been having a great year as well, Kempy. That's a difficult...
It's experience, eh?
Yeah. Well, Peppenhausen has to be there, so you'd have to find a way to squeeze him in. The other game conversely to the Cowboys was the Knights, who, I mean, they were underdogs up at Canberra, playing in Canberra at GIO Stadium. Not that I didn't think the Knights could get up, because they have been looking pretty good, but Kemp convincingly over the Raiders, 28 points to 6, and they're starting to turn a couple of heads as well for that top 8.
Well, he's got some consistency behind his game, hasn't he, KP? He's going really, really good, and at the right time of the year too. Like, I've watched a lot of his short highlights over the last 2-3 weeks. Mate, every time he gets the ball, there's something on.
Yeah.
You know, he's either going through the line and creating a try assist, or he's scoring them himself. So who would have thought, you know, only a month ago, Aidan O'Brien's head was on the block. You know what I mean? There's talk about Holbrook.
Well, there's still a lot of chat going on. Like, I've seen, was it Joey coming out saying that it's disrespectful how he's been treated given how the team's going. You know, it's like they're doing well, and he's still getting talked about in back rooms and you know, board meetings.
So when I was over in Newcastle, the interesting part about this, which a lot of people don't realise, is that West Newcastle's a leagues club in Newcastle. Been around for donkey years. They were there when I was there. And they're worth about $140 million. So they got a couple of accommodation blocks and leagues clubs in the city of Newcastle. Mm-hmm. They own the club, all right, and they run the football department.
What did you say they were called?
West Newcastle.
West Newcastle.
Yep. They are not getting rid of Aidan O'Brien after they paid Brownie out. All right, so he's going to be there. The Holbrook scenario, for me, is probably that if Holbrook wants to get into an assistant's role, they're offering him an opportunity to come into Newcastle, because they're probably going to lose a couple of their better assistant coaches.
Mm.
So don't worry about O'Brien. I don't think he's going anywhere.
No, I think he's safe. But the Knights, do you think probably are going to squeeze into the 8, because they've got a pretty favourable run home as well? I don't know if they can really make the 4. Would you give them any chance of getting higher?
The wheels would have to fall off the top 3 for the Knights to make the 4. You know what I mean? I think I can't see the Warriors' wheels falling off. I think they're getting better. Brisbane, I think they answered Matty John's question when he said I was waiting for the wheels to fall off. They aren't going to fall off. It. And of course, Penrith with 5 in a row, and Nathan Cleary being back, his 3rd game back. Like this week, that's the game of the round.
Yeah, and the interesting thing as well, Kempy, is that a lot of those top 8 teams outside of the Warriors all play each other. So there's going to be points getting taken off the teams that are trying to vie for that 8, 7, 8, 9, or 6, 7, 8 position in and around that spot. I'll just quickly run through the ladder here. I'm going to ask you to do this every week leading up to the finals, Kempy, to tell me how you see it shifting around from here. So Panthers, Broncos, 1st and 2nd respectively, both on 34 points. Then you got the Warriors and the Storm on 30 points apiece in 3rd and 4th. Then you got the Raiders in 5th on 28, Rabbitohs in 6th on 26, Sharks on 7th on 26, Cowboys in 8th on 26, and then outside the top 8, the Knights are in 9th on 25, just in behind them, the Seagulls also on 25 and 10th. Then you got the Eels in 11th on 24, the Titans in 12th on 22, Dolphins, Roosters also on 22 and 13th and 14th, Bulldogs on 18 points in 15th spot, then Dragons, Tigers are the bottom 2 teams. So just in and around that top 8, if you're looking at Raiders, Rabbitohs, Sharks, Cowboys, Knights, Seagulls, Eels, maybe even the Titans if you want to throw them in there, how do you see that moving around over the coming weeks? And I'll get you to rethink about this every Wednesday. Yeah,
look, I think the Knights and the Seagulls, with that 1 extra point that they've got, where they picked up the draw, I think they can cause a headache going in over these next few weeks, because they all play each other. So if they get the results, they will actually get above a couple of teams because of that 1 point advantage. So, you look at the game this week, for instance, Penrith, the other top 4 is that the other teams that are playing, they can solidify the Warriors' place in the top 4. Penrith and Melbourne lose that game, Penrith go further in front, the Warriors get another 2 points against the Titans, they get further cemented into that top 3. So you're dead right about the week in, week out type of football. The Sharks are struggling, mate. The Cowboys, without Valentine Holmes, can they get that job done out there on that right edge because that's their most potent attacking side. And the Knights and the Seagulls, they're coming home. They're coming home with a wet sail. So you throw the Eels in there. Look, I don't know. I think Dylan Brown coming back, has he got the miles under his belt to bring back that Mitchell Moses Dylan Brown connection? I'm not too sure, but if I was worrying this weekend, I'm worrying if I'm sitting in 6th, 7th and 8th, because I think the Knights and the Seagulls are the 2 teams to watch out for.
What about the Raiders? They're sitting in 5th spot here, and just looking at the sports bets odds over in Australia, they're $91 to win the title, and the Eels are $81. So the Eels are actually more favourite than the Raiders, as are the Knights actually, and the Raiders are sitting in 5th. Do you
Next week. Because
they've had 2 losses in a row now, the Raiders, after going on a good run.
You go 3 losses, all right, and then now it's talking about the Raiders entering that race with those teams down the bottom, those 3 teams down the bottom. I don't think you can go any further than the Eels. I know that the Warriors are playing the Titans. The Titans get the Cowboys last week. Mate, all but for a couple of inch decisions on the Cowboys, they get the Titans last week. But they didn't. The Titans got that one. I just think the Warriors this week are too good for the Titans. And I just think that group below them, 5th to, what is that, 11?
Yeah.
That's the changeable part.
A lot of questions and sort of thoughts coming in on the YouTube and on 8833 Kempy about the Warriors not taking the Titans lightly on Friday night, especially after what just happened to the Cowboys. So we'll talk about the game this Friday after 2:30. Jackson Ford is going to join us very, very shortly. But it is interesting, the Sharks in free fall at the moment, Kempy. I see them dropping outside of the 8. The Cowboys, I think, will hold on to the 8 spot, but then the Raiders, I think, are the ones that stand to lose here. I think if the Knights and the Seagulls can keep their momentum going.
I can't see the Raiders losing the Tigers this week. So I think they're still there. So this week is really important for the Raiders. I think you've got, I like what you said, week in, week out, then you can rejudge it. But at the moment, it doesn't include the Raiders because they play the Tigers. The Tigers are going to have to do something special to get the Raiders on Sunday. They can do it. The competition's like that, but can they do it against a top 5 side? Probably not. So they sit there inside that 8 fine. If they lose that game, they get chucked into that mismatch. Yeah,
it's funny. Like one weekend completely change. Yeah, but one weekend's basically completely changed my thinking on the Cowboys. And I know a lot of people were coming at me on Twitter saying, "Oh, it's just one game. You can't make a rash decision off one game." But what I saw from them, Kempy, was like I said, it sort of reminded me of what they looked like back in May. They've been absolutely flying, and they just fell flat. It could be a one-off. It could have been a one-off game. They bounced back and they wet sail all the way home. But it's that type of year, isn't it? And it's going to come down to, you remember back in 2018, I think the difference between first and second finished, I think, on 36 points, and then from 3rd through to 8 was 34 points, and then you had a couple of teams just outside of the 8. Like, it feels like that's going to happen again, where a team's going to miss out probably on points differential. You know what I mean? They'll finish on the same points, but they'll miss out on differential.
And because they're all playing each other, and the results fall the right way for the teams outside the 8, both Newcastle with that 1 point disadvantage at the moment, and Manly sneaking above them because of that 1 point advantage.
That's true.
So you'd be making these decisions as the games fall, because the ladder, as the games fall during the week, you're going to get to this Raiders West Tigers at the end of the weekend, for instance, and you're going to say, "Man, this is a critical game for the competition."
Yeah.
The Raiders, they need to win it, otherwise they're out.
Which we haven't really had over the last couple of seasons. As we get towards this end, we've only had 1 or 2 games a weekend that actually mean anything. So it's awesome that every game has got something on the line. We have to take a break because we're going to be joined after the break by Jackson Ford, the Warriors second rower, who has been massive for them this year, Kempy, and a surprise package as well. Not a lot of people knew about Jackson Ford when he first arrived, but he's playing every game, and he's playing 80 minutes every game as well, and he's an absolute engine. I think Andrew Webster told us last week that he could play 3 hours if that's how long the game went on for, and still be at the same
level. It's amazing for such a big bloke how fit he is.
Fittest in the team, we're told. So what we're going to do is to take a break, and we will come back with Warriors second rower Jackson Ford after that. Running it straight, 21 minutes past 2, was just telling Kempy that there's a world, a universe out there where he's won every single NRL title.
I hope we got that all recorded there, Joe.
No, we didn't. But there is a world out there,
because that's going to show people what I have to put up with every Saturday night.
There is a universe out there where Kempy's won every single NRL title as the Warriors coach.
Let me just put
is that so hard to believe, Kempy? You're a good coach, mate. Is it so hard to believe?
I'm just going to summarise it. You reckon there's 50 million more me's?
Yeah, well, there's more than that. There's infinite more yous out there. Anyway, we need to talk to Jackson Ford. There's only one of him right here, right now, and he's joining us on the line out of the Warriors. Hopefully he hasn't heard too much of this conversation, but it's a great privilege to welcome on to the show. The number 11 for the Warriors, Jackson Ford. Welcome in, Jacko.
Thanks, boys. Glad to be here.
Hey, mate, it's you've had a pretty tough season so far, Jacko. You got 80 minutes out every week, mate. Did you enjoy the break? Did your body need it?
Yeah, it's been good playing, consecutive NRL games. Body's definitely needed it. Webby's given us a few days off, so me and the missus went down to Queenstown. That was unreal, hey. Nice. Seeing all like the hills, and went up the gondolas and speedboats, and a few of the other boys went down. We had a day at a winery. Got on the electric bike. That was fun, yeah. So now back into it and looking forward to Gold Coast.
Mate, this sounds like an off season. How many days were you down there for? How many days were you down there for?
Well, we had 3 or 4 days down there. So
nice.
Yeah.
Did you get off the Nevis, mate? Did you get off the Nevis, or did you just go to the local 20-metre bungee jump?
No, we didn't do the bungee jump. We just we went up there on the, what are they called? Like the gondola? Is it the gondola and the luge sort of thing?
That's for the Aussies when they come over here. So we get them on the gondola, but the Kiwis, they jump off things, mate. But that's okay,
I would have
Jackson.
jumped off it if I had the chance. I would have.
Well, I was going to say, mate.
After the body.
Do you guys get any, I guess, edicts or warnings from Webby just to keep the activities? Make sure you're not putting the body through anything that might incur a little bit of a niggle or something. I'm sure bungee jumping's probably on the list.
Yeah, he tipped us up. Don't do anything too stupid. So I crossed off bungee jumping and skiing down there. So maybe next time.
I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in Newcastle, the coach said that to us. I went and jumped on a horse, mate, and did a rodeo and tore my abductor. Hey, just talking about your season, Jackson. You've sort of come into the club, and people have gone like, "Who's Jackson Ford?" And I asked Mitch Barnett this week what he saw in the Warriors when he signed under Brownie. How did that work out for you, mate? Because I guess St. George, for instance, would be pretty disappointed of letting you go. But how did it all eventuate?
To be honest, there wasn't much happening. To be honest, I don't know, it was a bit of a low point in my career. Hadn't been, barely played NRL last year, but so there wasn't many other options, and I just thought I might as well give NRL, if I'm going to give it a crack, it might as well be this year, and I think New Zealand's probably the spot for it. No other distractions, just really rip into footy. So I had a really good pre-season under Webby, and just slowly grew confidence, and probably been the best decision I've ever made, to be honest, coming over here instead of just sort of staying in the Sydney team. So, yeah.
Yeah. Kemp sort of mentioned, mate, a lot of people, I think, just speaking honestly, probably, were sort of questioning, just Jackson Ford fella, who is he, what is he going to be like? And, mate, you've been an absolute standout this year, and that is universal, no matter who you talk to. Just everyone loves your effort. Like we said, 80 minutes basically every week. You put in that, every single time you're on the ball. Is that a hallmark of your game, right through the years, or do you feel like 2023 you've sort of gone to another level? And if so, what's sort of been the catalyst for that?
I feel like I've been pretty fit, in all the other years, but just never really got many minutes. Not to toot my own horn, but I don't know. I feel like the longer I go, the better. I sort of get sort of thing. I just sort of warm into the games, but I've just been loving the footy over here, loving the boys, and winning games every week helps. Hey.
Yeah. It's always nice. It's always nice to win games, Jackson.
It is. Haven't had many wins.
Don't ask me about that, though.
But that left edge that you've made your own, the left edge in the Warriors historically, you've had some great players out there. Ali Lautiti was probably the best that we've ever had there. I say this to Sammy every game we commentate, that your name for players player would be right in the mixed game out every game. What is it about the Warriors style, mate, that you've enjoyed? Is it that Johnson's playing at the top of his game, or is that you can mix it? You do get a lot of ball. What is it that actually is the most enjoyable part of the Warriors style?
Oh, I think they just let you, just play how you play, and play is definitely not me. It's going to be either Shawnee, Duck. There's a few in there, Bangers, Tohu, and ads and that. But when all those boys are on, it's you just want to join in. Hey, just for me, it's just getting my timing off Lukey and that, and running as hard as I can, and just making sure I get those tackles for him and helping them out as much as I can.
We've asked with some of the other boys that we've got on, Jacko, just from their perspective, where how they view the team identity, just from your point of view, and look, Webby talks a lot about defence, particularly, and how that's helped build the 2023 season. But just from your point of view, what's the team's identity from your perspective?
Oh, for me, it'll probably be our kick and our two tackles after it. Shawnee gets that kick in, you see Rocco and the right edge, Marata and stuff running down there, and I feel like our first two sort of thing, don't let them out of their half, and just sort of just keep doing that. The team will break, make errors sort of thing. But once we get down there, the Shawnee and the Spine are pretty good at making teams pay for it. pretty quickly, scoring some tries with Shawnee there.
What's it like, mate, playing in front of that big crowd when you're at home, after not playing much football at all, and then you're running out sort of every second week run in front of big crowds? What's that been like for yourself?
It's been unreal, hey. The crowd down at Mount Smart is second to none. That crowd, especially when it's a nice dark game, you see all the, everything's dark, can't run out of the tunnels, all the lights. It's still, you still pinch yourself running out there, and I love running out there. Home games, it's massive advantage. Every play, if there's for the Warriors, it's always just one-sided. It's perfect. It's exactly what we like, and the crowds have been unreal this year.
Yeah, no, the support's been phenomenal, mate. And like you said, winning games definitely helps. So big home stretch coming up, 5 games to finish the regular season. And I know you guys are trying to stay grounded and sort of look game by game, but the thought of finals footy must be pretty exciting, mate. The team must be sort of feeling like something special's brewing heading into these last 5 games.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like something's brewing, and we're just, I guess, trying to keep getting better. We're third at the moment, so finals footy does hopefully look likely, but we will just keep trying to get better, stay grounded, and just keep working hard.
Yeah, love that, Jackson. That message is coming through loud and clear from the club about working hard. Just off the field, you've got your girlfriend here. You just said, you've told us you've been to Queenstown, and that. How important is that family feel that you have within the club at the moment, across the board, not just personally for yourself, but everybody?
Yeah, it's been good. I've definitely hung out, outside of footy with a few of the boys. We play golf, go to coffees and that every now and then. Sort of do stuff when we can, and we spend a lot of time together too. Always travelling, so you get to know the boys like their family.
How's your golf game then, mate? Are you going to share any secrets or?
I've just brought a new driver, so
here we go.
It's actually gone the other way, to be honest. So I had this really old 10-year-old driver, and I got a brand new one, and it hasn't been working for me, but we'll try and get it back.
See, that's the thing, Kemp. Everyone gets sucked into the technology and the high price tag, mate. There's nothing wrong with the old drivers. Tiger Woods won the Masters in the 90s, mate. It's not all about the new stuff. I bet you bomb it off the tee, Jacko. What's your short game like, though? Are you the man around the greens with the chipper and the putter?
I feel like that is my strength, to be honest. The chipper.
Sure.
I don't mind my around 50 metres out. That's where I sort of feel comfortable, I guess. That's
your bread and butter. Who's got the golf game, mate, out of the team? Who's the guy who fleeces you all of the cash when you go out on the course?
Oh, it's out of Wado and Walks, but I reckon Wado's probably just got him. He's off a 3.
Doesn't surprise me, Kempy. That
pretty good.
Is that Wade Smith?
Wade Egan.
Hey, mate, just talking about that run home, is the excitement there? I know personally, when you're coming close towards the back end of the year, you're obviously you're thinking of 2 things: 1, Mad Monday, because you're not in the finals, or 2, man, where are we going to end up? Is there a tinge of excitement there within the playing group?
Not too sure. There hasn't been too much talk about it. I'm just sort of excited. I know when it comes, finals, hopefully when it comes, I know we'll be ready for how much work we've been putting in each week, and I sort of just keep making sure that I'll be right if the time does come.
Now, Jack, I know when you were at the Dragons, you were doing a little bit of building off the field, right? I think you were working towards getting a builder's license. Do you still have that going on the side, or what do you sort of do when you're not thinking about footy?
That sort of slowed down a little bit since moving over here. But, when I was younger, going into 20s and that, I did my carpentry course, so I left school early. I ended up finishing that. So thankfully, son after football, I can look back to that, and so I've got my trade now, so I can do some carpentry. But awesome. I tried to, back at the Dragons last year, I was trying to get my builder's license, so still sort of just working through that. But it's been a bit of a long process.
Mate, well, you've been an absolute pleasure to watch this year, and we love calling the games and watching you play out there on that left edge. Let's hope that you can go up there and get the 2 points against the Gold Coast Titans, but especially over the next 5 weeks. Take us into the top 4, Jacko.
Yeah, come
out
on,
there
son.
on the left edge. Come on,
Let's
son.
go, boys.
Hey, really appreciate you jumping on with us, Jack. I know you're getting back into your work this week. The boys getting back together. So, good luck for this Friday night, mate, and we'll watch with keen interest over the next couple of games. Thanks heaps for coming on.
Thanks, boys. Been a pleasure.
Jackson Ford there, the Warriors' second rower. Good laugh. Good golf game around the greens, he reckons, Kempy, and yeah, great to have him on. A little bit nervous when we first sort of spoke to him. He's obviously still finding his way in first grade to an extent, isn't he? But he's doing a great job, and I like those guys. Sort of reminds me, I know he reminds you of some of those second rowers of old at the Warriors. For me, it's like that Simon Mannering, just head down, grind for the 80 minutes, make your tackles, do your job, and doesn't want the spotlight, doesn't want the awards, just happy to be out there doing his thing.
Well, he made the point, like he wanted to change the direction of his career, and he thought that New Zealand would be a great place to do it because he wasn't getting the time on the football field. And what a decision. What a decision. He'd probably be the first name that goes down on the team sheet every week, given that he's 100% fit. So been a revelation this year. When he first ran out, and we said that right at the beginning of the interview, no one knew who this Jackson Ford was.
No.
We hadn't seen him playing at St George, there was no footage of him. And yet over a short period of 2/3 of a season, mate, his value, can you imagine what his value is now in the competition?
I was going to say, if no one wanted him, before he joined, everyone's going to want him now. I just remember that Knights game down in Wellington. I think he made a break. Might have set up one of the tries as well, and just straight away you thought, okay, this guy's got a bit of pace and a bit of mongrel to him, So he's gone from strength to strength every game. I've got to take a break for news, sport, and weather. When we come back, we'll have a look at this weekend's game against the Titans, the team list as well. You can text her anytime, 8833. There's a couple of comments on the YouTube channel as well, so keep those coming in. We will take a short break for news, sport, and weather. Back in a moment. Running it straight 24 minutes away from 3. A couple of texts that have come through here on the text machine, Kempy, and one that I'll just pick up on from Kim that says, hey lads, can you discuss the rumours going around that the Warriors are lucky, if the Warriors are lucky enough to get a home semi, that the NRL will make sure it's played at Eden Park and not at GM Mount Smart? Interested to know why and if there's any way this will change. I can tell you, Kim, when the NRL spoke about this with Jimmy Smith actually over in Sydney, when the NRL enters the finals, the NRL takes over. They get all the profits,
exactly
they
right.
get all the cash, they get all the proceeds of every game. So they generally allow the teams to have their home games wherever they normally play in the first round, because it's sort of the first round. As soon as it gets to the semi-finals, you notice last year Penrith didn't play at Bluebet, they played at Allianz or Accor.
Because they can't sit the people there. There's
Correct.
just way too many people that want to go.
It was Penrith Souths, and they played it at Accor, I think, for the prelim. So that's going to happen to a lot of teams, not just the Warriors. But I have also heard that is the case. The Warriors, if they get a home semi-final, will have to play it at a venue bigger than Mount Smart, which is probably going to be Eden Park. The big question there, Kempi, is that even though there's a lot of interest around the Warriors, I don't know if they'd get 50,000 to an Eden Park to pack it out. Like, I know there's a lot of interest there and it's big and that, but it's not the spiritual home of the Warriors. It's not a great ground for me to watch rugby league at. You're not as close to the action as you are at Mount Smart. I don't know. It'd be terrible if it happens, but I can see it happening.
I think they do. I'm just laughing at this text from Jimmy saying, am I in a sleeping bag? Sorry, Jimmy. I was a bit crook.
It looks like a sleeping bag as well, Jimmy. Is that at 550 down?
Yeah, it was a bit crook last
down.
night, so I'm just trying to keep my temperatures right at the moment because I'm
Goose
getting
down,
hot and cold. It is
full body.
But just on that, shut up, you. I reckon they will get 50,000. Did you see Eden Park last night?
Yeah, for the football.
Yep, but listen, I know you like to
My
sort of
ears
have
are
a
wide
little
open,
bit more information. If they finish in the top 4 and they play Brisbane, for instance, so they say Brisbane finish second, or Penrith finish second. Say they lose this week to Melbourne, and Brisbane sneaking over the top of them, win a premiership for the first time in donkey's years. Okay? And it's Penrith Warriors at home.
Yeah,
they get 50,000 at Eden Park, 100%.
I think. Part of me says they will, but then I don't know. It's such an NRL thing to do to just sort of force them away from Mount Smart. But I can understand they do it to all the other teams. It's a pretty natural thing that happens.
But that's not what we're talking about. You're saying they're not going to get 50,000 people there. I'm saying they are.
I'm not. I said I wasn't sure.
That's a bit like you going on about my punting. You always say you didn't say it, but I'm not too sure. I'm glad you know that you're never sure enough.
I sit on the fence, which you need to paint this weekend, okay? I know you've been putting that off for a couple of months now. Get out and paint your fence, man. Otherwise, your wife will have your head. So let's talk about the game this weekend then. Titans on Friday night, 8 p.m. It is over in the Gold Coast Seabus Stadium. Haven't travelled well against the Titans in recent years, Kempy, and I think the Titans are, I mean, it's only one game against the Cowboys, but they have the ability to play that level of football, and it does scare you a little bit. The Warriors can't take them lightly. So going through the Warriors team just quickly for you, it is basically unchanged. Maratini Akore is in there alongside Jackson Ford. He obviously had the week off to get over that HIA, and then Jazz Tavanga comes into the extended bench. You'd think he comes in to the interchange on game day in place of probably Bailey Sirinen, so you'd have Walker, Afoa, Sirinen.
I think Josh Curran.
Oh, you think instead of Josh Curran? Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe. But I think he can play that hooking role that Bailey Sirinen plays when he comes on for Wade Egan if that is needed. In terms of the Titans team, just quickly run through that for you. AJ Brimson, Cam Pereira on the wing alongside Philip Sami, then Aaron Schopp and Brian Kelly in the centres, Kieran Foran, Tana Boyd in the halves, Moeka Fotueka and Isaac Liu in the props, Sam Verrills in the hooker, David Fafita, Joe Stimpson, Aaron Clark the back rowers, then Jaden Campbell, Chris Randall, Cleese Haas and Isaac Fasua Malaawi on the interchange. Kempy, what do you think the Warriors got to be worried about on Friday night? Not just the mental thing of not taking them lightly, but where on the park do you think they've got to be careful of from the Titans?
Well, I think Kieran Foran is playing some pretty good football at the moment. You know, like they've got no coach up there, and generally when you've got no coach, you lose half your team because they don't know what's going on. They're not being held accountable all the time. They're not really worried about certain parts of their game. But if you have a look at the last couple of games that Kieran Foran's played in, he's playing a pretty good game. He's got plenty of attacking options across the field. Pereira, that kid, I say is as quick as the fox. You know what I mean? So you don't want to get open space. You get Fafita through that left edge and Pereira on the end of it because it shut the gate, you know. So I think they've got plenty of opportunities to attack. He's mature. He knows and sees things that other players don't see, Kieran, and he's not afraid to release his outside. So I'd be really worried on that right edge. But the good thing about it, Marata Nuakura is back. He's had a week off of that head injury. He's had 4 weeks off because of suspension. He's fresh as a daisy, and he'll make him pay if they come down that right edge next to Sean Johnson. So I think it's the Warriors' year, though, mate, where they debunk all these myths. Yeah. You know, I'm expecting it to be a relatively close game. I think the Warriors have them defensively, so they'll get in position if they're sharing the possession stakes. I think a lot of those games that have played out in the past, the Warriors haven't been as consistent with the possession as they have been this year. And I think that's one of the biggest things why Sean Johnson's going so well, because he can manage the game and on the back of the possession get some consistency behind him. So, you know, good chatting to Jackson if you picked up on the way that he was talking about that kick chase down that right edge. So the right edge and the left edge working in that pendulum, as he talks about it on Breakfast with the All Blacks, you know. So the same thing. So you get a really good kick chase down there off Sean Johnson's right foot, and Rocco Berry and Dallin Martinez-Zelezniak stop the players down there. The left edge cramps their half into the middle third, and then they race in for 2 or 3 tackles, and you get actually a up in speed when Dylan Walker comes on and he takes it up to another level and really puts the acid on them. So I think they debunked that myth this weekend. I don't think they're taking this game lightly. I've watched a bit of their training on socials at the moment. Mate, they're going over there to get the 2 points, and they're pretty excited.
Hey, that was great little analysis from you there, Kempy. I love when we get those little nuggets from you, sort of terminology that the average punter doesn't really hear on a weekly basis. So it's awesome to get that. Where do you think where are the keys for the Warriors in terms of where the game might be won?
Well, I think the key
players.
The key for me is now just continually getting better. You know, so one thing you know about the semi-finals, and no one's been talking about it at the moment, but when you get to the semi-finals, the game has to change. Yep. It has to go up 100%. A notch. Hence the reason why I think Jazz Tavanga will be playing this week, because he needs to get some kilometres into his feet. So he can change the pace of the game. Him and Dylan Walker together can change what the game looks like. And for me, I think with the Warriors, what they got to do, while these players are coming back, while they're settling on their best side, is just over the next 5 weeks, slowly chip away at making sure that when they get there, especially in defence, you know, there was some really good. I know that Canberra came back late in that game and could have won it with a kick, but there are some really good sets of 6 defensively on their line that were really impressive. The problem with it is it wasn't consistent, and that's where that game goes to another level in the semis. Consistency, you know, you get to Penrith and they take you to a final. They've been there twice. They know what they got to do. They're going to make you pay defensively if you're not up to scratch over 80 minutes.
That's going to be the big thing against the Warriors if they do make if they make a semi-final and then maybe even a grand final, is just the fact that a lot of them haven't been there before, and certainly as a team they haven't been there. So, you come up against Penrith, who have done it all before. They're so used to not even just grand final day, but we talk about the week leading up, Kemp, and just how much goes on and how much pressure is. So, anytime try scorer for Friday night?
No, not yet. You'll get one Friday night if you get your digits
just tried
working.
To sneak in
I'm just going to ask Mark, because I did tip South out last week, Mark, for you, and they did win. Kemp, it sounds like you're saying the same thing before the South game. I think they're a different side, Mark, to be honest, before the South game. I think they got caught twice this year against the Roosters and Souths. I don't think you catch them out again. I don't think you catch them out again. And their team is actually getting better at this stage of the year.
Tim says, hey guys, definitely will get 50,000 at Eden Park. They will get all the Warriors fans and a large percentage of rugby fans and all the travelling fans as well. Also, Sam, any alien activity at Penrose Park, just saying go the Wars. Tim from the 09. Mate, with the way that they're playing, you probably do have to ask some questions. We do have to take a break. When we come back, we'll run through some of the other big games this weekend. Also want to ask Kempy about the Melbourne Storm drama over the weekend of celebrating the 2007 and 2009 titles. We haven't had a chat about this, so I want to ask for your thoughts on it. Stick with us here on Running It Straight, thanks to South Seas Healthcare, Auckland's largest Pacific wellbeing service provider. Running it straight 10 minutes away from 3 o'clock. Going to hand over to the run home with Kirst and Beeve. But we've got Joey on the line, 0800 150 811. G'day, Joey.
Yeah, g'day, boys. Yeah, when you were talking about the Warriors and that, what I see in them this year too is you got effort on effort. So when you take off, say, Mitch Barnett and put on Jackson Ford, you don't lose anything. You take off Jackson Ford and put on Jazz Tavana, you don't lose anything. You take Tavana off and put on Curran, you don't lose anything. And that's fantastic, especially when you're playing with them. You've seen a guy come off and you've seen another guy come on that's going to do exactly the same job, if not, just as good. And as players, that's what you want as well. You're not going to have a guy that's going to be a bit slack. And I've always said it too, the amount of tackles that those guys are making is making it easier for the props to do their job, and then it's making it easier for Johnson and the backs to have more space. And that's how I see them. And they're going to be very hard to beat, believe me. They were talking on the NRL the other night, NRL 360, and they never even mentioned the Warriors about, the sides that can beat Penrith. Look, the way the Warriors are going, they could go all the way. And without a doubt, this is the best Warriors side and the fittest Warriors side I've seen in 10, 12 years. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, Joey. They've certainly got what it takes, Kempy. It's more the fact that I think we haven't really seen them play finals football. And like you said, it goes to a whole nother level, which is probably the only question mark.
It does, and that's what people need to realise. You're not getting week to week football. It goes to another. It does go up a notch. The good thing about that, Joey, what you're just talking about too, is that sitting in second grade, they're sitting in second spot. So you've got players across the board in the club playing to get into that first grade side. And when you've got that, and I can tell this from my own experience, when you have someone breathing down your neck, Matt, your form is always on.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best thing that Andrew Webb says at the moment. Have a look at the decisions he has to make this week. He's got players that he can pick on the bench at any spot, and he's going to have to leave a couple of them out. And that's what you want this time of the year.
We're running out of time, Kevy. I will get through some of the big games this week and get your predictions for them. But just quickly, the Melbourne Storm controversy of them celebrating the 07, the 09 titles before the Eels game. Thoughts?
But I think a bit of arrogance. I don't think they needed to do that.
Can you see
chalk
it?
And cheese.
Can you see at all the points that Cam Smith and
not
Billy
at all.
Slater are making?
Not at all. Not at all. It's just not. It's not a level playing field. Unfortunately, you cheated the salary cap, and
you're celebrating a title that you won by cheating.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
It's not right.
And they even put the trophy on the plinth. It's like, I get that they're trying to celebrate the careers of guys that played in those years, but you're literally putting a replica trophy on the plinth, pretending like you won it.
Yeah.
It is arrogance. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Right, we'll take one more short break. When we come back, I'll just get Kempy's quick thoughts on some of the other big games this weekend, a couple of crackers, and then we'll hand over to the run home with Kirsten B. Back in a moment. Okay, just before we hand over to the run home, Kirsten Beeve, Kempy, quick fire run through the games this weekend. Tomorrow night, Roosters, Seagulls.
Rotisserie, the Roosters. I'm going Seagulls.
Okay, Titans, Warriors. Friday night. Panthers, Storm, Friday at 10 p.m. at home. Close?
Yep, it normally is. Yep, they're not going to run away with it, the Panthers, but they'll get it.
Cowboys, Broncos.
I'm going to go Broncos.
Townsville, Saturday, 5 p.m.
Yep, I'm going to go Broncos. I think they're on fire.
Yeah, I think without Val Holmes, I'm leaning towards that way, although the Cowboys, I think, will bounce back from that Titans loss. Dolphins, Knights.
Hi-ho. Let's go.
7:30 Saturday.
Newcastle Knights.
Rabbitohs Sharks Saturday 9:35.
Rabbits all day. Latrell Mitchell's back.
Eels Dragons Sunday at 4 p.m.
Eels.
And Raiders West Tigers
I can't
Sunday
see the
6.
Tigers getting the Raiders.
Well, that's all pretty, sort of stoic, Kempy. Like, no surprises, no upsets there. You're just picking on form. And
that's right.
Okay,
This
so
time of year.
the ladder will be looking pretty similar then by the end of next week.
People
if all
remember
those teams
this time of year.
All right. Well, there you go. That's who Kempy reckons. And what about any time try score for Friday night?
I'll give it to you about 5 to 8. You're just waiting for that phone call. Get on, give us a call, and you'll get paid.
It's Kiwi for Sport. Okay, that is us for another Wednesday, running it straight. We'll have the live call. Kempy's away on Friday, so it's going to be me and Blake Ashford in the studio calling that game against the Titans, and then we will be back here next Wednesday.
I've got one for you.
For another
First time
edition
try
of Running
score.
It Straight. Don't say.
Just ask me on Saturday. Winter Cup.
Get out of it. Kirsten Beeve coming up next. That's Running It Straight for another week.